You ever walk past a mirror and feel like something's just off? The outfit looked fine on the hanger. The color seemed right, but somehow the reflection staring back doesn't feel quite like you. Something about it feels loud, overwhelming, or just out of place. And it's not because you've changed, it's because clothes and patterns have a way of either working with us or working against us. Most people don't think about it much. We wear what's available, what's comfortable, or what we've always worn. But here's the thing, past a certain age, what worked before doesn't always work now. And it's not about hiding wrinkles or dressing younger. It's about honoring where you are in life, embracing elegance, and knowing what really makes you look your best. The truth is, certain prints just don't do us any favors after 60. They overpower, they distort, and sometimes they age us in ways we don't even realize. But the good news? There are much better alternatives, choices that highlight your confidence, your grace, and the beauty of who you are today. Before we get further, I'd love to know where you're joining us from. And if you find these conversations valuable, a like and subscribe would mean a lot. We keep things real here. No fads, no gimmicks, just practical wisdom from years of experience. All right, let's talk about the first print that might be working against you. Let's start with something that's surprisingly common but incredibly tricky, bold, oversized floral prints. Now, before you shake your head and say, "But I love florals," hear me out. There's a reason this one makes the list. Big, exaggerated flowers tend to do one of two things. They either drown you in fabric or create too much contrast against the natural softness of mature skin. The result? Instead of looking effortlessly put together, you end up feeling like the print is wearing you. It's the difference between a gentle, graceful presence and a pattern that steals the show for all the wrong reasons. But what should you wear instead? Swap out those oversized blooms for something smaller and more delicate, like soft watercolor florals or subtle botanical prints. They still give you that fresh, feminine feel, but without overwhelming your natural features. Imagine a flowing blouse with tiny sprigs of lavender, or a scarf with understated leaf patterns. It's elegance without the excess. Now, let's talk about another print that can be surprisingly unflattering: horizontal stripes. We've all heard that stripes can be tricky, but after 60, they pose a whole new challenge. The problem with thick, high-contrast stripes is that they create hard visual breaks. And for most women, they don't just widen the frame, they disrupt the natural flow of the body. This can make posture look more rigid, draw attention to areas we might not want emphasized, and sometimes even exaggerate slouching. But stripes aren't the enemy. It's all about the right kind. Instead of those bold, blocky, horizontal stripes, go for soft, vertical lines or even diagonal ones. Why? Because they create length. They guide the eye in a way that feels more natural and effortless. Think of a light pinstripe blouse, a subtle chevron pattern on a scarf, or even a vertical pleat detail in a dress. These small shifts make all the difference in maintaining a refined and graceful silhouette. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I've worn these prints for years. And that's understandable. We get attached to what we know. But the beauty of style after 60 is that it's no longer about chasing trends. It's about choosing what truly flatters you. It's about refining, not restricting. And that brings me to another sneaky offender: busy geometric prints. You know the ones, loud zigzags, checkerboards, or swirling maze-like patterns. The problem with these prints isn't that they're inherently bad, it's that they create too much visual noise. As we age, the natural softness of our skin and features benefits from harmony, not chaos. When a print is too busy, it competes with you instead of complementing you. So, what's the better alternative? Soft textures, tone-on-tone patterns. Think gentle tweeds, subtle jacquards, or even a beautifully woven fabric with just a hint of pattern. These choices give depth to an outfit without making it feel overwhelming. And the best part? They work effortlessly with accessories, letting you highlight the details that matter, like a delicate necklace, a great pair of earrings, or a timeless handbag. Now we're just getting started. There are still 4 more prints that deserve a closer look, and trust me, some of them might surprise you. In the next section, we'll cover a few common ones that might be sneaking into your wardrobe without you even realizing how they affect your overall look. But before we wrap up this part, I want to hear from you. Have you ever put on something and felt like it just didn't sit right, even if you loved it on the hanger? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. The thing is, style isn't just about individual pieces. It's about how they work together. And sometimes it's the smallest details that make the biggest difference. Last time, we talked about oversized florals, harsh horizontal stripes, and overly busy geometric patterns. Prints that often do more harm than good for women over 60. But there are still a few more patterns that can quietly sabotage your look without you even realizing it. And today, we're tackling 3 more. Before we jump in, I'd love to know, have you ever had a print that just didn't feel right, even if you couldn't explain why? Let me know in the comments. And if you find these conversations valuable, a like and subscribe would mean a lot. We keep things real here, no gimmicks, just timeless wisdom to help you look and feel your best. All right, let's talk about the next tricky print, animal prints, especially in large or exaggerated patterns. Now, I know this one might be a little controversial. There are plenty of women who love a good leopard print or a bold snakeskin pattern. And don't get me wrong, animal prints can be done well. But the problem is that most of them are too loud, too aggressive, or just too artificial looking. Instead of adding elegance, they can sometimes create a harsh, almost costume-like effect, especially in larger patterns with high contrast. Now, what's the alternative? If you love the idea of animal prints but don't want to overwhelm your look, go for more muted or refined versions. A subtle cheetah print in neutral tones, a faint snakeskin texture in a soft fabric, or even a small-scale leopard print scarf in classic colors. These details add a touch of personality without dominating your outfit. The key is moderation. Instead of letting the print take over, let it act as an accent. And speaking of prints that can sometimes take over, let's talk about polka dots, especially high-contrast, oversized ones. Now don't get me wrong, polka dots have a classic charm. But after a certain age, they can start to feel a little too youthful or even cartoonish, depending on the size and color contrast. Big, bold polka dots can create the same problem as oversized florals. They draw too much attention in a way that feels disconnected from the natural elegance of mature style. So what should you wear instead? If you like dots, try micro polka dots or tone-on-tone dot textures. A soft navy blouse with tiny white dots? Lovely. A scarf with a delicate dotted pattern woven into the fabric? Elegant. The goal is to keep the look refined and balanced, letting the print enhance your outfit rather than dominate it. Now, let's move on to another surprising culprit, tie-dye and heavily abstract watercolor prints. I know, these can feel fun, creative, even artistic. And in the right setting, they have their place. But after 60 large, swirly, high-contrast tie-dye patterns can often feel too chaotic. They don't create a clean or structured look, and they tend to clash with the natural softness of mature features. Instead of looking effortless, they can sometimes feel like they're trying too hard to be youthful. So, what's the alternative? If you love the fluid, artistic feel of tie-dye or watercolor prints, opt for softer, more blended versions in muted tones. Think of a blouse with gentle ombre shading, or a dress with a subtle gradient effect. Something that creates movement without overwhelming your look. The trick is to keep the print flowing and natural rather than loud and distracting. Now I know what some of you might be thinking, but I love bold prints. I love color. And let me be clear, this isn't about taking away personality or fun from your wardrobe. It's about refining those choices so they work with you rather than against you. Because here's the thing, fashion at this stage in life isn't about following trends. It's about knowing what makes you look and feel your best. It's about elegance, confidence, and making intentional choices that bring out your natural beauty. We've covered 6 prints so far, and there's still 1 more to go. You ever look at an old photo of yourself and think, wow, I looked great that day. What was I wearing? And then you realize it wasn't just about the clothes, it was about how they made you feel. Certain outfits make us feel polished, confident, effortless. Others, well, they just don't sit right, and half the time, we can't even explain why. That's the tricky thing about prints. They have a way of either enhancing or distracting, and sometimes they do more harm than good without us realizing it. So far, we've covered oversized florals, harsh horizontal stripes, busy geometrics, loud animal prints, high contrast polka dots, and chaotic tie-dye patterns. But there's still one final print that can quietly sabotage your look after 60, and it's one many women wear without a second thought. All right, let's talk about that last print, high contrast plaid and large gingham patterns. Now, before you start shaking your head, let me explain. Plaid is classic. It's timeless. It's been around for generations. And gingham? Well, it has that crisp, structured feel that makes us think of warm weather picnics and fresh summer dresses. But here's the problem. After 60, certain types of plaid and gingham can create too much contrast and structure, making an outfit feel rigid rather than refined. Large, blocky plaid patterns, especially in stark color contrasts like black and white or bright red and navy, can look harsh against mature features. They add too many visual breaks, making an outfit feel stiff rather than effortless. And gingham? It can have a similar issue. Tiny gingham prints can be charming, but oversized gingham in bold colors can sometimes feel childish or overly preppy, which doesn't always align with a more sophisticated, polished look. So what's the alternative? Instead of stark, high-contrast plaid, opt for softer, muted variations. Think subtle herringbone patterns, classic tweeds, or understated window pane prints. These choices still give you that timeless, structured feel, but in a way that's more refined and complementary. If you love plaid, choose versions in softer color combinations, like taupe and ivory, deep olive and charcoal, or gentle blues and grays. These shades work with your features instead of overpowering them. And for gingham, go smaller. A tiny, delicate gingham print in soft pastels or earth tones can look effortlessly chic, especially when paired with elegant accessories. Instead of feeling playful and overly youthful, it feels refined and intentional. Now, let's step back for a moment. At this point, we've gone through all 7 prints that might not be doing you any favors. But before you go clearing out your closet, let's talk about something just as important. How to refine your wardrobe without feeling like you're restricting yourself. Because here's the thing, fashion after 60 isn't about rules. It's not about never wear this or always wear that. It's about making smarter choices that align with who you are now. It's about dressing with intention. And that doesn't mean giving up your personality or your love of color and prints. It just means choosing them wisely. So, how do you make sure your prints work for you and not against you? Here are 3 simple principles to keep in mind. First, balance. If you love a bold print, pair it with a neutral base. If your top has a statement pattern, keep your pants or skirts simple. If your dress has a strong print, balance it with understated accessories. The goal is harmony, not competition. Second, scale. The size of a print matters. Large, exaggerated patterns can sometimes take over your look, while smaller, more delicate prints tend to blend seamlessly. If you love florals, choose ones with a soft, scattered pattern rather than huge, overpowering blooms. If you love geometrics, opt for subtle pinstripes or tonal prints instead of harsh, contrasting shapes. And third, softness. Prints with softer edges, watercolor effects, or blended tones tend to be much more flattering than harsh, high-contrast patterns. Look for prints that have a natural, effortless flow rather than ones that feel blocky or stiff. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but I love bold prints. I love color. And that's great. This isn't about stripping your wardrobe of personality. It's about refining it. Instead of prints that overpower, choose ones that enhance. Instead of patterns that compete, go for ones that complement. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to dress well, it's to feel good in what you wear. It's to look in the mirror and see someone who feels confident, comfortable, and completely at ease in her own skin. We've covered a lot so far, 7 prints that don't flatter, plus the best alternatives to replace them with. But in the final section, we're going to bring it all together. I'll share some real-life examples of how small changes can completely transform an outfit, plus a few simple wardrobe tweaks that can instantly elevate your look. No major shopping required. So far, we've gone over 7 prints that often don't flatter women over 60. From oversized florals to loud animal prints, harsh horizontal stripes to chaotic tie-dye, high-contrast polka dots to bold geometric designs, and, of course, the tricky world of oversized plaid and gingham. These prints, while popular, can sometimes do more harm than good by creating too much contrast, overwhelming the natural softness of mature features, or adding unnecessary visual bulk. But here's the thing. It's not just about what not to wear, it's about what to wear instead. Because when you choose the right prints, the ones that complement rather than compete, you don't just look better, you feel better. You step out the door with confidence, knowing your outfit reflects exactly who you are today. Before we dive into some real-life examples of how small tweaks can elevate your look, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever changed one thing in your outfit and noticed an immediate difference? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this conversation helpful, a like and subscribe would mean a lot. Around here, we're all about practical wisdom, things that make life a little easier, a little more refined, and a whole lot more enjoyable. Now, let's talk about how small adjustments can completely transform your look. Example 1, the floral switch. Up. Let's say you love florals. You always have. You've got a closet full of floral blouses, dresses, and scarves. But lately, something feels off. Instead of making you feel fresh and elegant, your floral prints seem to overpower you. They feel a little too busy, a little too loud. So what's the fix? Instead of large, high-contrast floral prints, opt for smaller, delicate floral patterns with soft, blended colors. A blouse with tiny sprigs of lavender instead of oversized roses. A dress with gentle watercolor florals instead of bold, high-contrast blooms. The difference? The print now complements your natural features instead of distracting from them. It creates a softer, more harmonious look, one that feels effortlessly put together rather than overwhelming. Example 2, the stripe adjustment. Now, let's talk about stripes. You might have a few striped tops or sweaters in your wardrobe, but for some reason, they don't feel as flattering as they used to. Horizontal stripes, especially the thick, high-contrast ones, can sometimes create visual breaks that make an outfit feel stiff or bulky. The easy fix? Go vertical. Instead of horizontal stripes, try vertical pinstripes or subtle diagonal patterns. A soft pinstripe blouse can create the illusion of length, guiding the eye in a way that feels effortless and elegant. Or, if you love the look of stripes but want something more forgiving, opt for softly blended stripe patterns, ones that fade in and out rather than creating harsh breaks. Example 3. Tweaking animal prints. Maybe you've always been drawn to bold animal prints. There's something about leopard or snakeskin that feels confident, powerful. But as we talked about earlier, oversized, high-contrast animal prints can sometimes look harsh against mature features. So, how do you keep the sophistication of animal print without letting it overpower your look? Go for muted, tonal versions. Instead of a black and gold leopard print that screams for attention, try a more subtle take. A taupe and ivory cheetah print blouse, a soft charcoal snakeskin scarf, or even an animal print texture rather than a full pattern. You still get that bold, confident feel, but in a way that's refined rather than overwhelming. Example 4, finding the right plaid. Plaid is one of those tricky prints. On one hand, it's timeless. On the other, it can sometimes feel too structured or even rigid, especially when it's in high contrast colors like black and white or bold reds and blues. The fix? Choose softer, more subtle plaids. Instead of a sharp, high contrast pattern, go for muted houndstooth, gentle window pane checks, or plaid and soft neutrals. A cream and taupe plaid jacket? Elegant. A soft gray window pane print blouse? Timeless. You get the classic feel of plaid without the harsh, blocky effect that can sometimes feel stiff or overpowering. At this point, you might be thinking, do I need to get rid of half my wardrobe? And the answer is absolutely not. The goal isn't to throw everything out. It's to refine, to tweak, to make small adjustments that help you feel your best. So, if you're wondering where to start, here are a few simple steps. Take a look at your prints. Go through your closet and notice which ones feel off. Are there patterns that feel too bold, too harsh, or too overwhelming? Set those aside for now. Try the alternatives. Instead of oversized florals, try delicate florals. Instead of harsh geometric prints, try subtle patterns or textures. Instead of bold, high-contrast plaid, go for soft, muted versions. Pay attention to how you feel. When you put on a print, don't just think about how it looks. Think about how it makes you feel. Do you feel polished and put together? Or do you feel like the print is wearing you instead of the other way around? Don't be afraid to mix things up. Maybe you have a bold print that you love, but it feels too strong on its own. Try pairing it with neutrals. A bright floral blouse might feel overwhelming with printed pants, but perfect with soft beige trousers and a structured jacket. A bold animal print scarf might be too much with a patterned dress, but perfect with a sleek black sweater. At the end of the day, fashion isn't about right or wrong. It's about making choices that align with who you are now. It's about dressing in a way that feels authentic, elegant, and effortless. So, before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Have you ever made a small change to an outfit and noticed an instant difference? Maybe you swapped out a print, changed the way you accessorized, or adjusted a fit, and suddenly, everything came together. Let me know in the comments. I love hearing your experiences. And if you've enjoyed this conversation, a like and subscribe would mean a lot. We're all about timeless wisdom here, things that help you feel good, look great, and navigate life with confidence. All right, that's it for today. Until next time, remember, style isn't about following rules. It's about choosing what truly works for you.